Hello and welcome to another yoga studio. I am Kat. If you haven't joined one of my videos before, and it's great to have everyone back on the mat with me today, new and old, for a little hint and tip session to help with balance. So we're primarily focusing on balancing with the feet. But if you're also someone who's interested in taking yourself into balances on the hands, most of these points are also going to be quite relevant, and we can have a quick chat about that too. So, when we're thinking about balance, we've got to think of the whole body. So a really important point to keep fit and strong is the core. So I'm not going to go through core exercises today, but we need this area to be able to support us when we're moving around and balancing on one leg or on our hands. Then if we're thinking about balancing with the legs and with the feet, strength within the legs and the ability to move and balance throughout all the muscles, as well as your hip muscles, your glute muscles at the top, is also really important. So general body strength is always going to be a factor in balance. So have a think about videos that you can, check the videos out, see what you can do to help with your core, etc., to help support your balance that way. And then there's actually things that we can do when we're balancing to give us a little bit more control over how we're working the balance. So one point is to think about our eyes. So if we're coming into a balance, whatever sort of balance it is, and we're trying to stand on one leg, or again, if you're balancing on your hands, you need to be able to focus your eyes. So I'm going to look just a moment above the camera on one spot in front of you. As soon as the eyes tend to wander, quite often the head will follow. Mine has just done there. But that can start to affect how easily you balance. So one tip then is to think about balancing, keeping your eyes steady. And if ever you watch a circus or gymnast or anybody like that who's sort of balancing and doing all that, acrobatic stuff, they've always you'll see that, they really are focusing with the head and the eyes to keep themselves steady. So that's one thing we can do. The other thing that we can think about is how we use our feet. That sounds obvious because we're balancing on them, but quite often, we're stood on one foot and the foot's rocking and rolling as it adjusts to the movement and the way the the body higher above is wobbling. And if we can actually shore the foot up and make that more secure, it's going to make our ability to balance better. So this is where we come to the importance of using how we use our toes. So we can try this together. If you're standing, which we're going to need to be, but if you're able to stand right now, just give the toes a little wriggle. And then press into the four little ones, that's your little toe inwards, and try and take your big toes up. This is just an experiment to see how much we can lift the big toes up off the floor. Then, once we know how far we can lift them, we can play around with how it feels to balance with and without the toes. So, think about taking the big toes up off the floor, and just see how that affects where the weight moves through your feet. You're probably going to feel it rolling up off the arches of the foot and to the outsides of the feet. Okay, then press the big toes. So from the ball of the foot all the way through to the tip of the toe, press it into the floor. And you'll feel how then the weight moves differently through the foot, and the foot actually will start to feel more balanced. So then we can try this to actually see how it affects balancing on one foot. So if you take, say your left big toe up off the floor, so we've got the other four toes still attached, the big toes lifted, And then see if you can peel your right heel up off the floor. Now that might be as far as you want to go, but if you can go any further, we can also try and take the toes off. And just see how that feels to balance without the big toe on the mat. Okay, take the foot back down. Now plant. So again, think the ball of the foot all the way through the toe. Plant that into the floor to anchor the foot down, and then try the same thing. Take the heel and the toes up off the mat and see how that feels. So there might be a little bit of wobbling still, but do you feel more secure? Hopefully the answer is yes. Okay, try it on the other side. So take the right foot down, take the right big toe up off the floor. So remember the other 4 toes are still touching if we can. And the toe doesn't have to lift super high, it's just enough to feel the weight move through the outside of the foot. Take the left heel up, and then if you're feeling secure with the balance, take the toes up off the floor. Most of us generally do balance better on one side on any given day than another. So don't worry if the way you wobble more on one foot than another. That's all quite normal. So take the left foot down. I'm saying lots of so's today. Press the big toe and the ball of the foot into the floor. And then we're going to do the same thing. See if we can take the left foot up off the floor. And just notice how that affects and helps the balance. Okay. So we've got 2 points to think about when we're coming into balance. One is the balance with the eyes, and the second one is thinking of how the feet balance. We're using the toes on the floor. So same idea if you're using your hands for balancing, and you can try this without even coming into balance. If you come to like a tabletop position, see how it feels if you take your thumb up off the floor, how that affects where the weight is of your hands, and then maybe that follows up through your arms, because your arms are going to have to roll out to the side, and then so all of a sudden the elbows are bending and it's harder to straighten through the arms. Now it's not you have to necessarily have your arms locked out when you're in a balance, but obviously if the elbows are pointing off out to the side, that's going to make the balance slightly harder. So if we think about the same idea about engaging with the thumbs and the palms and also like that inner knuckle area, that again is going to make us more secure with a balance on the hands. So we want to think about grounding, so using the whole of the feet and the hands as we come up into any sort of balance. So we're going to come back to just experimenting with our balance on our feet, and we're going to try to think of where our eyes are working and how our toes are working as we play a little game with balance called Rock Around the Clock. So we are going to give ourselves a little bit of space because we're stepping forwards, to the sides and to the back and moving around with our balance. So the right foot comes to 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 on the clock. And then the left foot is going to step from 6 all the way around up to 12. And the idea is that we're stepping on one foot to come to the numbers, to take us to a balance on the right foot, or the left if we're coming around the other side. And then we step back and have to balance on the foot at the center each time as well. So we're moving in and out of balancing through the feet at different angles. So start off with both feet at the center of the clock. The feet are roughly in underneath your hips. So just think about what your eyes are focused on as you stand here and where your big toes are. And then as you breathe out, step forwards to 12 with the right foot. Come to a T-balance or a warrior 3. So eyes are going to travel slowly forwards. We're pressing into the big toe. And then step back to the center. And then come forwards to the number 1. Same idea, float the left foot up. Eyes are fixed, press into the big toe. Back to the center, come to number 2 on the clock. Same idea. And then number 3. So this is a bit like a star balance or a half moon balance. So we're lifting the left leg up. Think about where we're pressing. Think about fixing the eyes back to the center. And then we move back to number 4. So this is where our balance starts to come backwards. Back to the center, to number 5. So we're thinking about weight in the big toe, fixing the eyes at whatever we're looking at. And then number 6. So that could be a spot on the wall. Maybe we're looking up towards the ceiling, and then we're back into the center, right foot. And then we're going to step back with the left foot. Take the foot up, press into the big toe, shore yourself down. Come to number 7. Spot the eyes, press the toe. Come to number 8. So we're now starting to look further forward. So maybe we find one spot that we're going to stay fixed on. Back to the center, to 9. And then all the way over to 10. I'm right on the edge of my mat, so I've lost control of my big toes. It just goes to show how important that is. Back to the middle, come to number 11. Again, focus the eyes, press into the foot, the toe. And then we'll finish coming back to that warrior 3, that T-balance shape if we've got room, at number 12. And then we step back into the center, and both feet come down towards the floor. So when we're moving in and out of the balance, playing that little game or that little exercise, it's hard because we're constantly shifting the weight and you're having to think all the time, eyes, toes, eyes, toes. It's a really good way to kind of switch them on quickly to help you move from one balance into another position. So then you can take those ideas, use the exercise to practice engaging all the muscles that we need for the different balances we do in classes. And then that practice helps you to switch the toes and the eyes on when you need them for your balance in your practice, whether that's Pilates or yoga. Okay, so it's just a very short one for today, just a little chat, give you an idea of how we can work on balance and use things other than like our focus and small parts of the body like the toes that are so important to help us, and how we can use them with our balance each time we give it a go. All right, that's enough from me. So I will leave you with those thoughts to have a little practice, and I will see you again soon on the mat. So hit the subscribe to the channel button now so you know when to join me next for a class. Okay, bye.